Coming up on the bench, Syracuse men's basketball had an important week of play. The Orange faced off against likely its toughest opponent of the entire season on the road against number 3 Tennessee. Then SU went over to conference play against Notre Dame. Did the Orange weather through the storm without leading scorer J.J. Starling?
Plus, after a thrilling win over Miami to finish the regular season, what's next for Syracuse football? We'll tell you what bowl game the Cuse is headed to. And Adam Gotkin joins us for an early preview.
Plus, Syracuse women's basketball traveled to Texas A&M for the ACC-SEC Challenge. And with some early losses at home, the Orange have got to rattle off some wins to keep this season afloat. Did they find those solutions, though, on the road?
Don't forget about Syracuse women's ice hockey, who was on the brink of a full month break. But the Orange had 2 games against Robert Morris, who rests last in the conference. Could the Cuse finish the first half of their season on a high note before the break? We'll tell you that and a whole lot more as On the Bench starts right now.
Welcome inside our CitrusTV studios for this edition of On the Bench. I'm Ryan Bridges alongside Andrew Selover. The last On the Bench of 2024. Andrew, what's the biggest lesson you learned this year?
Biggest lesson? Oh, a lot of stuff.
Putting you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I don't have a good answer for you.
You don't have a good answer? Okay,
No.
well that's all right.
That's a tough question.
That's all right. We're going to get an answer to a lot of Syracuse fans' questions here in these headlines of the week. Earlier today, it was announced that Syracuse football would play Washington State in the Holiday Bowl down in sunny San Diego. The Cougars started out the season 8-1, but have lost 3 straight coming down the stretch. However, Washington State already has played in Snapdragon Stadium, where the game is being held this year. The Cougars beat San Diego State on that day 29-26, and the game was previously played at the home of the San Diego Padres in Petco Park in the previous years.
And with the end of the college football regular season also comes the opening of the transfer portal. And just like the tractor beam on that Death Star in Star Wars, yeah, the transfer portal, it's going to suck up players left and right. We already know of one player here at Syracuse who plans on entering his name into the transfer portal when that opens tomorrow. And that is linebacker Anwar Sparrow, who plans to enter the transfer portal after his 5 seasons here at Syracuse. The backup linebacker this season, he's played in 39 games in those 5 years here. He has over 80 tackles, and he plans on playing in a 40th and final game with the Orange when Syracuse plays in that Holiday Bowl before he transfers.
With the college football season coming to a close, the All-ACC football teams were announced. Syracuse's Aronde Gadsden made the first team for his second time with the Orange, while Kyle McCord, Jackson Meeks, and Trevor Pena slid in on the second team, and then Clarence Lewis was on the third team as well. SU also had 6 players who were honorable mentions, and to tell us more about that and what we could expect going forward with this Syracuse football program, Andrew is at the wall with someone who might be able to tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, that's right, Ryan. You might have seen me walking all the way over here to greet Mr. Adam Gotkin, who joins us in the studio. Adam, great to have you on here.
It's great to be here, Andrew.
Exciting times for Syracuse football. 9-3 season, first year under Fran Brown. I think most people would say, yeah, that's a success in the eyes of Syracuse fans. Let's get an early preview. Holiday Bowl, Orange going to San Diego. Your first thoughts?
My first thoughts is that I would have rather Syracuse played in just about any other bowl game, because the big thing for me is that this is the 3rd West Coast trip of the year for this squad. For a team from upstate New York, that is just absurd. You got to think about the fan base here. The Syracuse faithful is going to have to pay, another $1,000 to fly out west holiday time if they want to go to a bowl game? That's just not something that should be happening. And also, this is not as high of a caliber of bowl game that I thought Syracuse was going to make. My prediction coming in was the Gator Bowl, which has Ole Miss in it, a team that thought that it could have made the college football playoff, and they're playing Duke. I saw Duke in person this year. That is not a good Blue Devil squad. So while Duke gets to play Ole Miss, who thought it could have been in the college football playoff, Syracuse has to play Washington State, who was left out of conference realignment and is still in the Pac-12 right now?
Hey, this is a Washington State team at 8-4 that technically won the Pac-12 over Oregon State, I guess, this year. The Pac-2, as some are calling it. Some strays to the Blue Devils as well from Mr. Adam Gotkin. Let's get a more in-depth preview of what Syracuse should expect from that 8-4 Wazoo team.
It's an 8-4 team, but it's not a team that is playing like an 8-4 squad right now, because last time out, it lost to Wyoming in the final game of the season, who had just 2 wins. Not too good. This is a team that, just like Syracuse, is dominated really by its quarterback in John Matai. And he's fine. He's not great. He has not lived up to what Cam Ward did last year, which is not an easy thing to do. But really, this is a team that's offensively very good. Defensively, not so much. They had multiple games where they gave up 30-plus, almost 40 points, just like Syracuse did. But again, I mean, this is a program that couldn't even make it into the Big 12 or the Big 10 in conference realignment. So no matter how good of a season this has been for Washington State, they're doing it with a Mountain West schedule. And while they're 8-4, they didn't dominate the Mountain West, barely beating San Diego State and Snapdragon Stadium, where this game is going to be played, barely beating a San Jose State team that isn't that good. I mean, this is not a great team that couldn't even make it into a power conference, getting dropped out of the Pac-12. I mean, this is a game that Syracuse should absolutely win, I think.
Okay, so McCord plays or not, you still say favor Syracuse?
Yeah, I think McCord plays or not, then you got to think Syracuse, because just like Syracuse, Washington State's going to have some players that probably won't play in the bowl game.
One more for you, Adam. We got to talk transfer portal because it opens tomorrow. We mentioned Anwar Sparrow will enter the portal. I think the biggest thing for Syracuse fans is where will next year's quarterback come from? And just like this year, a good chance it might come out of that transfer portal. Kyle McCord played so well this year, so why not go to the portal? Do you have a few names that Syracuse fans should keep an eye on?
Yeah, I definitely think that they are going to have to go to the portal, and there's 2 guys that I'm really looking at. First off, Connor Wegman, who comes from Texas A&M. Just like Kyle McCord, a 5-star in high school, went to a team that has an absolutely ruthless, brutal fan base, and didn't necessarily live up to those expectations, which happens. But again, he's a 5-star, and he's got 5-star talent, and he's shown it off multiple times. My other guy that I'm looking out for is Caden Salter from Liberty. He was the Group of 5 Player of the Year last year for the Flames, and like Wegman, like McCord too, was very highly rated out of high school. He started off at Tennessee, had a lot of character issues, ended up getting kicked off the team, but went to Liberty and excelled in that offense. He's really a dual threat guy too, had over 30 touchdowns and 1,000 rushing yards last season, over 30 passing touchdowns and 1,000 rushing yards. So he's a guy who can absolutely do it all, a very talented quarterback, and these are 2 players, Wegman and Salter, who On3 has said is connected with Syracuse. So these are guys who are at the top of the rankings right now when it comes to quarterbacks, both top 5 in 24/7 Sports quarterback rankings, and they're both guys who are realistic choices right now for the Orange.
Well, we'll find out. Only time will tell for who the quarterback next year for Syracuse could be. Obviously, Kyle McCord was a great get. Maybe Fran Brown has another rabbit up his hat this year in the portal. Adam, thanks as always for the time. We're going to get it back to Ryan as we hit the hardwood here on OTB.
Yeah, that's right, Andrew. A lot of news breaking for Syracuse football today. And earlier today, Syracuse women's basketball's Kayla Alexander had her number 40 jersey retired during Syracuse's clash with number 10 Notre Dame. Alexander led the Orange to an NCAA tournament berth in 2013 as a senior. In that season, she became SU's all-time leading scorer and the only player to surpass 2,000 points in an orange jersey. Alexander was the first Syracuse player that was also taken in the first round of the WNBA draft, and we'll have those highlights of the Orange and the Irish coming up.
We'll get to some highlights right now for you, Ryan. As Syracuse men's basketball headed into the week, the Orange were ready to face their biggest challenge of the year. ACC-SEC challenge time. Both the men's and the women's teams hit the road, and for the men's team, well, they had a gauntlet of a challenge. They had to go into Rocky Top, Knoxville, Tennessee, and face the number 3 ranked Volunteers. This was a Vols team that, if that doesn't tell you how good they are, that number, well, they were favored by 23.5, biggest underdog Syracuse has ever been. Smokies firing up the Vols fans. JJ Starling, first game out with the wrist injury, and Syracuse playing against an undefeated Tennessee team as well. Orange would score first, 2-0 Syracuse, then Felix Akpara off the miss from Zakai Ziegler. Tennessee would go on a little run here to start the game. Lucas Taylor turnover leads to an and one dunk for Chaz Lanier. That's the big North Florida transfer, known for his three-point shooting. He gets three the old-fashioned way there. You want some three-point shooting? How about Elijah Moore in this game? Off the bench, the freshman, phenomenal. That cut it to a 2-point Tennessee lead halfway through the first quarter. But who else was good? Cade Phillips. Off the bench as well, averaging just 6.5 points per game. He would reach double figures in the first half. Zakai Ziegler is loving it, and he's loving this play as well that he made himself. He would get 4 on an and 1 from 3 just before the halftime buzzer. That's good from Jaquan Carlos. Keeps it a 10-point lead at the break for Tennessee. Here comes Disco Smokey, and boy, the Vols were dancing all the way to victory in the second half. That's Cade Phillips off the assist from Ziegler again, and I told you Chaz Lanier could shoot it from 3, and in the second half, he told Syracuse he could shoot it for 3. He made 4 from downtown in the second half. How about Chance Westry coming into the game because this was such big of a blowout? Orange get Westry in for his first action, 1 more 3, and it is a dominant win for Tennessee and Rick Barnes at home over Syracuse. We do want to highlight the play from Elijah Moore, basically the only bright spot in this loss for Syracuse. He came off the bench, outscored all of the other players on the bench with 24, Ryan.
Yeah, he really did, and Syracuse has got to find a way to get him more involved, Andrew. There's just something with this guard play so far this season, outside of J.J. Starling, that is just not there. They need more scoring in that backcourt.
And that raised questions to Adrian Autry. Next game up, Notre Dame. Would Elijah Moore be in the starting spot?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of questions around this Syracuse team, but as bad as the press was around Syracuse coming into their conference opener against Notre Dame yesterday, you could argue that the Irish were in an even worse spot. The Irish had lost 5 straight, and the most recent came by 21 points at the hands of Georgia. So 2 teams really struggling in non-conference play. Who started off conference play with a win? Let's go down to Purcell Pavilion and check out what happened between Syracuse and Notre Dame. The Orange finished 7 in the conference last season, 11-9. They're looking to continue that great play. But someone who was in their way the entire game was Braden Shrewsbury. 25 points. That's one of his 6 3-pointers right there. A rare offensive highlight from Lucas Taylor. That's someone who is going to be in the starting lineup. He's got to be able to score more out there, primarily for his defense. Someone who's always out there, though, and has played really well in the last couple of games has been Donnie Freeman. He's getting up to speed as a freshman. 8 for 10 at the free throw line. He's getting to the charity stripe a lot more, and unlike a lot of other Syracuse players, he's starting to knock them down. Braden Shrewsbury knocks that one down, though. Of course, I said 6 3-pointers in this game. We mentioned how great Elijah Moore was against Tennessee. That was his only 3-pointer of the day right there, and the onslaught just kept coming. Braden Shrewsbury once again caught fire in this one. Orange down 5 late in the game. Moore, the step through, he gets this bucket, cuts the lead to 3. Syracuse fortunate enough to get a stop. The ball goes to Lucas Taylor on the final possession at the end of the shot clock. No good, and Jair Davis commits the offensive foul on the rebound. He gets another shot at a 3-pointer right here with the Orange down 4. He misses. Syracuse goes 0 for 9 from 3-point range, and Jordan Leonard has more on that.
Coming off a 26-point loss to Tennessee earlier in the week, Syracuse could not close out Notre Dame, losing 69-64 in the ACC opener here from the Purcell Pavilion. Syracuse did not make a 3 today for the first time since 2014, also shot sub 65% from the free throw line, but it was the plays down the stretch, head coach Adrian Autry said, made the biggest difference.
Too many blown opportunities. We turned the ball over 13 times. We can't do that. Can't do that.
Even in the loss, the front court came to play for Syracuse. Jair Davis and Donnie Freeman both putting up 20 points apiece. Syracuse outscoring Notre Dame by 12 points in the paint. And Lucas Taylor said after the game that that's not shocking from the dynamic duo.
I mean, they're 2 high-level players. Donnie's super athletic, super talented, and Jair's just like a force. Like, I mean, when he posts me up, I tell him every time, I'm taking the charge. Like, I'm not messing with you. So, I mean, those are 2 guys that we're going to play through the rest of the year, and they're super dominant and super effective in the paint.
One of the biggest reasons for Syracuse's front court success today was point guard Jaquan Carlos. Carlos had 8 points and 7 assists in 35 minutes, and head coach Adrian Autry said it was definitely his most impressive performance in an orange uniform.
He played about as good as he could play. I mean, you would like him to make a shot or 2, yeah, but for the most part, 8 points, 7 assists. 2 turnovers, 2 steals, and we got the ball to the right places. And that's what a point guard is supposed to do. That's what a point guard is supposed to do, is get the ball to the right places, and I thought he did that tonight.
Syracuse falls back to 4-4 on the season, 0-1 in ACC play. The Orange are back in action next Tuesday against UAlbany inside the Dome. But for now, from Purcell Pavilion, Jordan Leonard, Citrus TV.
Jordan, thank you for your coverage down in South Bend. And it doesn't matter, what the Orange do going into that UAlbany game. Andrew, if they don't shoot the ball better, this team is just not going to win games. And sometimes it comes from a couple players and then they disappear in the very next game.
Yeah, and the surprising part this year, I think the biggest surprise has been the lack of shooting from Chris Bell, because that was your guy last year. He shot it second best from three in the whole conference, and he has been below average in the conference scheme this season, shooting it below 30%. You feel like he needs to get going without J.J. Starling, right? That's your leading scorer. So that's a big reason why there's major concern right now for the Orange.
And the Orange shoot below 70% against the Irish, and that was considered an improvement, so they also got to improve at the line as well. Another team on the Hill looking to improve is Syracuse women's basketball, and coming up after the break, we're going to detail their battles against Texas A&M and their home battle today against Notre Dame. That and more on the bench.
My big man fingers are having a problem with these little tiny buttons.
Whoa, watch it there. Your blood pressure's gonna go through the roof.
Tell me about it. I'm trying to learn how to get it down. Instead, it keeps going up.
High blood pressure can increase the risk for heart attack or stroke. Learn how to keep yours at a healthy range.
Ever hear a voice command? Just say text barbershop to 97779.
That's not what I said.
Just give me that. Now my blood pressure's up.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Welcome back into OTB. Ryan Bridges and Andrew Selover closing out 2024 in style, and we're going to do it right now, talking a little bit of Syracuse women's basketball. The team has been the definition of up and down throughout this entire season. The Orange are still searching for their first back-to-back victories of the year, Andrew. And however, on Wednesday night, they were facing a Texas A&M squad that was also 4-4 and came in 2-3 in their last 5. So was this the time for the Orange to build a little bit of momentum, also break their 4-4 tie, get to a winning record, and try to get some momentum here early on? Syracuse down in College Station, fans fired up early on. They weren't fired up to see Syracuse, though, come out and have a really great first quarter. They go on a good shooting stretch to start things out. Kira Scott gets the pass from Angelica Velez to start things off for SU, and Scott, really great in the last couple of weeks, led the Orange in points today against Notre Dame. She knocks it down, Syracuse up 5-0 early. Closing out that first quarter, though, Syracuse with a 15-7 lead, a three-pointer from Talia Parker, and the Orange still trying to cling on to that narrow lead. They sometimes lead early in some of these games, don't always close it out well in the second half. Dominique Camp gets the pass from Sanaya Wilson. She knocks it down. Orange up 20-11 at that point. But the Aggies just kept coming. A three-pointer from Janae Kent and just a 2-point lead SU has going into the locker room. Isa Varejao got hurt in this game, did not return. Buckets just kept on coming for the Aggies. The third quarter is where the tide really turned, and it happened a lot because of Sophie Burrows, Georgia Woolley struggling to shoot from the field. Orange were down 7 when this quarter finished, and not a good look for Felicia Leggett-Jack's squad. They did not recover in that fourth quarter, and they went cold from the field. Had to deal with Janae Kent, as we mentioned, and Talia Parker hitting shots all night long, 14 each combined, 28 2-3-pointers for each of them, and the Orange score a very rough 45 points on the road in this one. And Andrew, we mentioned how the Orange went cold from the field. They could not make a shot down the stretch, and when the shots are just not falling, there's not much you can do. You just got to shoot your way out of the slump, and they just didn't get out of it.
And rightfully so, this graphic mainly highlights two players in Georgia Woolley and Sophie Burrows who had really bad nights. Woolley was 3 of 17 from the floor in this game. Burrows didn't make a shot from the floor, and you're going to need more from them if Syracuse wants to win games.
Yeah, they got to be able to score the basketball. I mean, this is a game where Felicia Liggett-Jack and that squad held them to 57 points. That's a great number that you want to be at. But if you got to win some of these games, you've got to make more shots. You're not winning any games scoring below 50 points.
So the Orange struggled to score against Texas A&M, and it couldn't get much tougher for a bounce-back chance after that loss in College Station. Today, Syracuse hosting number 10 Notre Dame inside the Dome. This is an Irish team already has 2 top 5 wins under its belt. And last year, these two produced a couple of classics. Orange won both, but Syracuse this season not with Deasia Fair. And Notre Dame already has Olivia Miles back, who missed all of last season from injury. Miles, one of a couple of phenomenal guards, along with Hannah Hidalgo and Sonia Citron, maybe the best backcourt in the country. Getting an early look at the sophomore Hannah Hidalgo. First team All-American as a freshman a year ago. She makes the and one. And then it is Emma Risch, a bench player, knocking down the 3. These two were back and forth early on. More acrobatics from Hidalgo, who seemingly can get a bucket whenever she wants. Kira Scott set a new career high at Texas A&M. She upped it today. That made it just a 1-point lead for the Fighting Irish. Couple of late buckets, including from Kate Koval down low, put Notre Dame up by 7, their biggest lead of that first half. Second half, though, how about that backcourt? Sonia Citron from the corner for 3. She would lead all scorers today with a career high of 25 points. Then Leah Tu King gets the steal off the inbound. Yep, Sonia Citron again. She just beats everybody up the floor. All 3 players that I mentioned had double-doubles today, and they did it with over 20 points each of them. There's Olivia Miles out in transition, and one more 3 from Citron from the corner for good measure. It was all Fighting Irish in this one. Notre Dame by 31, led by Citron in that backcourt, and it was ugly from start to finish for Syracuse. Just could not defend that 3-headed monster, the 3 guards that Niele Ivey and the Irish are throwing at you. As I said, might just be the best backcourt in all of women's college basketball, and all 3 of them 20-plus point double-doubles today to get a win over Syracuse. Ryan.
Yeah, and Syracuse playing a really great opponent today in Notre Dame, probably the class of the ACC, but still a lot of problems for Syracuse women's basketball. And with that, we bring in our beat reporter and Kiran Costa. And Kiran, the struggles in the second half, not just applying to today, applying to kind of the rest of the season. What's been going on with this Orange team?
Well, Ryan, how much time do you have? The real question is what's going right for them. I mean, this game in particular, I think it more went right for SU in the first half. Notre Dame turned it over 9 times in the first quarter. That's not what a top 10 team in the country will do. And then at the halftime break, they just stepped on the gas. Andrew mentioned it earlier. Their 3 guards, Citron, Hidalgo, and Miles, outscored the entire SU team if you count the game. And Syracuse just cannot match up with teams like Notre Dame right now, Ryan. And then, I mean, we can keep going on these issues, but scoring droughts. Let's go back to that. They don't score in the last 5 minutes at Texas A&M. The exact same thing happens today. There's a 5-minute stretch where they don't score in that third quarter. 16-2 Notre Dame run. They just can't hang with the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can't hang with a top 10 team in the country in the Fighting Irish, but Kiran, you've seen this team just about as much as anybody. Fans hear a 28-point loss at home, and they think a lot of bad things, but what's your panic level with this team?
Well, Ryan, the bells and whistles are going off. The red lights are flashing. At the start of the season, okay, you don't have Deasia Fair. There's some growing pains. Well, that excuse doesn't work anymore. The issues just continue to stay. I mean, you lose games to Notre Dame, fine. You hang around with Maryland, you lose that game, fine. But you can't drop games to St. Joseph's. You can't drop games to UAlbany. The Orange are playing down to their opponents, and then good teams, ranked teams. To be fair, this team's going to the Final Four. They're just getting run out of the gym. Notre Dame, when they played in transition, Syracuse had no answers. FLJ is throwing 9 to 11 players out there every game. They just have absolutely no answers this season. I'm pretty panicked.
You're pretty panicked. This is a great team, one that almost made the Sweet 16 last year, but right now they're on the ropes. That doesn't mean that throughout the entire season we won't have Kiran Costa on the sidelines and in the press conference rooms asking the tough questions after these games. Another team that might be struggling a little bit this season is Syracuse women's ice hockey, but good things could be coming up for the Orange with a doubleheader against Robert Morris on the schedule. We'll tell you what happened in that clash after the break.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Back here on the bench, Andrew Selover and Ryan Bridges with you as we are finishing up the semester here at OTB. Hour-long special late night, and we appreciate you joining us live here at CitrusTV. Ryan, a week in Syracuse full of snow, and that means we got to hit the ice. Probably could have played hockey outdoors
I see what you did there.
This week, but instead we're going indoors. And Syracuse women's ice hockey, a big slate against Robert Morris, who a couple years ago paused their team. They left the conference after winning the conference championship. But then they came back, and they haven't really been as good. In fact, headed into this two-game slate before a month break for the Orange, Robert Morris bottom of the conference. And with 2 wins, Syracuse could get all the way up to second in that new Atlantic Hockey America Conference. We'll start with game number 1 between Syracuse and Robert Morris, and the Orange. Early on, it was Tatum White who got the assist from Bryn Sorella. That's just 2 minutes into the game, and the Orange strike first against the Colonials. Robert Morris would have an answer. Lindsey Smolin would sneak one between the pipes and between the legs and tie it at 1 apiece in that first period. Just a couple minutes later, Bryn Sorella scores on the power play and puts the Orange back up 1 at the end of the first period. Already an assist and a goal for Sorella, and we keep going because number 5's got another one in that second period. Syracuse doubles its lead, and then the empty netter for Sorella, a hat trick for the forward, and she lifts Syracuse to a 4-1 win thanks to that empty netter to put the first game on ice.
She also had a goal in the previous game against number 5 Colgate. So that's 4 goals in the last 2 games for Sorella going into the second clash of the weekend, and Syracuse kept their foot on the gas. The first goal, Jackson Kinsler, 5:25 left in that first period. SU goes into that intermission break with that very score line a little later on. Bryn Sorella once again. How about 5 goals in the last 3 games? They're up 2-0 early. MRU does get back just a little bit. Maya Nugent scores right there. They're trying to avoid losing by that 4-1 score line, but Syracuse dominated on those power plays once again. They're trying to build back from 2 tough losses to number 5 Colgate, and they have been able to do it because of Bryn Sorella, because of this team. She scores right here, and Syracuse goes ahead to win by a score of 4-1. Once again, the Orange, 8 goals in 2 games. And you look at their upcoming schedule, Andrew, this is a squad that if they can get hot, they can challenge in the AHA, where they are now second in that conference.
Yeah, they get the 2 wins. That's big. I think even more important than moving up in the conference standings, you get this month off representing kind of the halfway point of your season, and you didn't want to head into that on a loss. So you get the 2 wins, feeling good about yourself. Big ones on the road, rescheduled games at Minnesota Duluth. Those will be 2 tough ones out of that break. We're supposed to be played earlier in the season. Now they're being played right out of the break to start January.
So great team performances for Syracuse women's ice hockey, and they also have some great individual performances as well. Forward Tatum White hit a milestone that few SU players in SU history have done. And our Syracuse women's ice hockey beat reporter John Baccio details the grad students' dominance this year on the ice.
all the speed you want, but if you're not strong on the dot, someone that comes in with more strength and more like oomph to the draw, they'll probably come out with the win because they can always tie up and lift your stick and stuff.
White just eclipsed 1,000 career face-off wins on her 5-year tenure, and she's 5th in SU history for victories on the draw. White has 2 keys to when she steps into the circle, and that's confidence and communication.
Well, when I'm feeling confident on it, I usually like to maybe set up a play with my other players on the ice, knowing that I'll hopefully win it cleanly. I like to kind of let my D know or let my winger know that it'll come right to them, so maybe look to try and get something off that right away.
The Ontario native's base for face-offs was built when she was playing juniors back for the Kingston Ice Wolves. White's head coach was Troy Sweet, who has seen talent coming in and out of the program for 16 years. So, Coach Sweet, what was your first impression of Tatum White?
My immediate thought is, again, even today, is like, wow. I saw her before she even came to me when I was watching her at a very young age in Kingston. And just her attention to detail, the way she presents herself, her determination.
Coach Sweet is one of many skippers that Tatum White has seen throughout her playing years. She even experienced a head coaching change after her sophomore season at Syracuse. So the grad student has ultimately come to the conclusion that separate viewpoints have only made her better.
Paul and Brendan, they taught me so much, and I'm so grateful to have them as a coach. And then Britt, Heather, and Meg coming in as well, just having so many different voices that I've heard from and the experiences I've gained. So as much as maybe that was just a big change and a big shift from the way the program was ran before, I think I'm lucky to have experienced it because it's just that many more people that have made an impact in my life.
She's an all-around type player, and again, it's just her being a student of the game. She always wants to learn, always wants to get better, always takes on those roles and responsibilities. As we say, players can't pick the roles, but when we pick a role for her, she always attacks it with full on.
That work ethic has helped White contribute to Syracuse's second-best AHA record right now, and she got some milestones along the way as well. John Baccio, CitrusTV.
A solid week for women's ice hockey. Thanks to John Baccio for his continued coverage. Did that do enough to put them inside the top 3 teams of the semester for Syracuse? Find out after the break.
Couldn't dream that I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly, just to come back in a new disguise and be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Got a quarter?
Welcome back into On the Bench. We've gotten you all caught up with the Syracuse sports that have happened in the past week. And now, Andrew, we got to do a little bit reflecting, give out our first awards of the night. We're first going to the teams of the semester. You know, it's always a great thing to bounce back and have a great season, or a great season at the start after having such a dreadful year. And that's what Syracuse volleyball had. Only 2 wins a year ago. They start off their non-conference play extremely hot. 12-0. They just wiped through their non-conference schedule. Did struggle in ACC play, but this is a squad and a team that has been able to rebuild themselves. They had a great couple of years, or they had a great couple of years 5 years back when Coach Gate got into this seat. Andrew, they already had some players in place, but now Polina Shamanova leaves, and they have some players to back that up. Ava Palm has given them a huge lift, and then they've also had contributors like Searson who have also helped along the way.
Yeah, and they've got to play in one of, if not the best volleyball conferences in the country. So no easy night for Syracuse volleyball. Good to see them on one of the teams of the semester. Meanwhile, year number 2 of the Lynn Farquhar era for Syracuse field hockey, and they slot in as our nod number 2 of a team of the semester. After a rocky start to the year, the Orange rallied big time for multiple top 10 wins. Got a win in the regular season over number 8 UConn. They beat number 3 Virginia in the ACC tournament. High hopes headed into the NCAA tournament. Didn't quite get it done. The Orange fell short with a 1-0 overtime loss to Harvard in that first round of the NCAA tournament. But they made strides. 11-8 last year. This year 13-7, and they reached the semifinals of that conference tournament.
Perennially, I should say, one of the best teams on the Syracuse campus.
Yeah.
Not as much success maybe in that NCAA tournament, but still a program who has done really well. And coming from Ames Bradley, Lynn Farquhar has done just as good as maybe even an even better job for Syracuse. All right, we're going to give you our team of the semester. You already know what it is. It's Syracuse football. 9 wins for the first time since 2018. They finished number 21 in the final college football rankings that were released earlier today. And this is a team that has just given Syracuse fans hope. They believe now that they can win the big game. Miami comes into the Dome, number 6 in the country, and Syracuse essentially just knocked him out of the playoff, Andrew. We'll see what Fran Brown has up his sleeve, but this is going to be a very tough act to top, going 9-3 in your first season.
Yeah, and Fran Brown says winners get washed. I think winners of teams of the semester should get washed as well here on the bench.
Yeah. Players of the semester, maybe coming up. Maybe those people will get washed as well. But when you talk about Syracuse football, Andrew, 3 ranked wins as well. What goes into Syracuse believing that they can win the big games once again? How does Fran Brown inject that into this program?
Yeah, I think that's just something special that he has as a coach. Some have it, some don't. And that's why some teams want their head coaches out, right? You talk about Penn State, Ohio State. They've been really mad because their coaches can't seem to get the big ones done. Here at Syracuse, it feels like Fran Brown this year, he had that knack of getting his guys ready for the big ones.
A culture changer right away for Syracuse football. Some of Fran Brown's players might be on our next list coming up after the break. We're going to our performers of the semester here on the bench. Plenty of great athletes on the hill, and we'll tell you the 10 best from these past few months.
Here we go. We're going to go out there in the rain. You're going to get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh, yeah. Yes. So much fun. Mwah. We're getting so wet.
They said a bottle was just a bottle. That no one would ever notice me. But I knew I could be more. That one day, I would make people smile.
Ryan teased you, I'll deliver performers of the semester. Let's get them going here on the bench. We already got you your top 3 teams of the semester. We're giving you 10 of them, 10 of the best performers on the hill this year. We're going to start on the hardwood. Syracuse women's basketball. After last year, you lose DeAsia Fair. After the loss to UConn, Felicia Leggett-Jack said the torch has been passed, and it was passed to Georgia Woolley, who for her performance through the first part of the season is our number 10 performer of the semester, averaging almost 15 points a game to lead Syracuse right now. She's played over 31 minutes per game, and really where she's upped her game, Georgia Woolley has gotten much better at shooting the 3-ball. In her first 2 years with Syracuse, she was shooting it below 30% from behind the arc. Right now, she's up above 35% for Syracuse from downtown. That's by far the best in her college career. And yeah, she's the best free throw percent shooter in the ACC right now at 90%.
And she's gotten better every single year, Andrew. Yep. Career highs going up the list, especially in these first couple of games that Syracuse has played. We're going to go to the pitch now for this second performer, Chimere Omeze. It doesn't matter that he's a defender for Syracuse men's soccer. It doesn't matter that he's a freshman. He's still the second on the team in goals. Also has added an assist as well. And this is a player that doesn't just provide great defense out on the wing, out of that center back position. They can put him in the box for those set pieces, and that gives them that extra offense that they had this year. And their front line struggled a little bit this year as well, Andrew, and Chimere Omeze really filled in the gaps, kept this team afloat at some times, and even had a game winner this season.
Yeah, a lot of promise for what Chimere can do going forward for Coach McIntyre's squad here with Syracuse. We're going to keep it going. I'm going back to basketball for number 8. It takes a lot to be an injured player and still make the performers of the semester list. And I've got J.J. Starling here for Syracuse. Yes, he is injured. He's out indefinitely with that left wrist injury. But Starling was the leading scorer for Syracuse before he went out. He was putting it in the basket about 20 points per game, and he scored 38 points in arguably the performance of the semester across 49 minutes to beat Youngstown State. He just carried Syracuse to the finish line in that double OT game against the Penguins. 47% shooter from the floor. Starling, when he was healthy, was really unbelievable for the Orange offensively.
No, he was. And when you look at some of these plays, Andrew, he's going hard to the cup. He knows how to finish through contact. Judah Mintz was the tough shot maker on this team last season. Now they need someone new to step up. And every game that goes by that they don't have J.J. Starling, it just caps the ceiling of this team. Yeah, they sure do. It's putting a lot of pressure on their other guards like Lucas Taylor, like Elijah Moore, who we saw step up big against Tennessee and then can't do it going forward. We're going to the ice for our 8th best performer of this semester. Bryn Sorella slots in at the number 7 spot, pardon me. Sorella, as I mentioned earlier, 6 goals in the last 3 games, 3 in the first matchup against Robert Morris. Then she had another brace as well. That's put her way ahead on the lead in goals. She's at 10. The next best person has 5, and she also has the lead in assists on this team. The transfer from Holy Cross as a grad student has come in and just lit it up over the last few games, and Syracuse has been needing that forward that can step up and score goals, especially against those tougher opponents. And when they eventually do come up on the schedule, Andrew, we'll see if she can keep performing like this.
Orange should give a big thank you to the Crusaders because she's been phenomenal, and she might be the one player that's not looking forward to this 1-month break for Syracuse ice hockey because of how red hot she has been. You mentioned the hat trick. And boy, she just carried Syracuse.
Send Holy Cross a bottle of champagne.
Yeah, maybe. She just carried the Orange to that 2-win sweep over Robert Morris. We're heading back to the pitch. We're heading between the pipes for Syracuse women's soccer. Not the first performer of the semester nod for Shea Vanderbosch, who slots in at number 6. Just a true shot stopper. Kept the Orange in so many games across this season. Orange struggled in ACC play, but Vanderbosch was one of the best to do it in the conference. She had 14 more saves than any other ACC goalie. Junior, hopefully coming back for one more year with the Orange. She saved almost 80% of the shots she faced, and 4 clean sheets to go with it as well for Shea Vanderbosch, the number 6 performer of the semester.
And Willemijn Bogert is our next performer. She also has been appearing on these lists in the performers of the week throughout the semester. It's only right that we put her in on the performers of the entire last couple of months for Syracuse. Second team All ACC. Obviously, Bovan Kempen has been leading the charge, but Willemijn Bogert has also been stepping up big for Syracuse. 23 points, that's 7 goals, 9 assists. She has been really incredible for Syracuse, and in a season where they scored a lot of goals against top opponents, they outperformed what a lot of people would have thought. They snapped their losing streak that went back almost a decade against the Virginia Cavaliers. The transfers that they got, the newcomers, really stepped up big like Bogert.
So as we cross across the halfway point of these performers of the semester, we got to get to some players that really weren't expected to shine and exceeded expectations. Right. We'll go to the football field. One receiver for the Orange has really done that well. And at number 4, it's Trevor Pena. Syracuse has 3 receivers over the 800-yard mark. Jackson Meeks, Arande Gadsden, maybe you could predict those. But Pena, across 4 seasons headed into this year with Syracuse, he had under 300 receiving yards. And right now, he's got 870 on 79 receptions and 7 touchdowns. And how about that Trevor Pena drive against Miami, where he had the over-the-shoulder 50-yard catch, and then he had the basket 25-yard touchdown catch. That was one of the biggest drives of the game to get that win over the Canes. Pena is a guy that really a lot of people probably did not expect this kind of performance this semester, Ryan.
Yeah, a lot of people might not have expected this performance, but I remember I was listening to some podcasts and some early predictions for Syracuse, and if you really look closely at what Fran Brown, Kyle McCord were saying when they were in spring football, they were raving about this guy constantly over the middle, and then he has that great performance in the spring game. It was only a precursor, though, to what was to come, and I feel like Trevor Pena is one of the best, contested catch receivers I've seen in a long time. But he does not look like it if you just saw him up close. You would expect Arande Gadsden to go up and win a lot of those for Syracuse, but he would just get blasted sometimes at the point of the catch and always came up with it. Such a great route runner for Syracuse and really got that team to where it needed to be. Our next performer also got their team to where it needed to be in non-conference play early in the season and helped them get through that ACC stretch as well. Going back to the volleyball court here, we're going with Ava Palm for our number 3 performer of the semester. A great outside hitter, led this team in kills, aces, digs. She did it all for Syracuse, but also was able to end possessions early. Got to see her up close a few times this season. The power that she puts on, it ends those possessions for Syracuse, allows them to get settled, because when you go deep into these rallies with some of these best teams in the ACC, they're going to outclass you. But Ava Palm was on their level almost every single time, and she was pretty exceptional for Syracuse.
Yeah, she was really good. Really fun player to watch for Syracuse volleyball. Ava Palm, fantastic. Next player as well, fantastic. And this next player probably had an argument at the number 1 slot, but unfortunately just came up 1 spot short. At number 2, Bo Von Kempen for Syracuse field hockey. She is a defender. She plays on the back line most of the time, and yet she led the Orange in almost every scoring category. 15 goals this year for Von Kempen. She had 4 multi-goal games, and I think the most impressive stat, that one on the right. How about 9 game-winning goals for Syracuse? They won 13 games this year, and 9 of them, Bo Von Kempen had the game-winning goal. Grad transfer from the Netherlands was a huge difference maker, and it felt like almost every time the Orange needed a goal, they got one from Bo Von Kempen.
They did, and those 9 game-winning scores, that led the nation this year. Someone who also led the nation in a pretty important stat was passing yards, and it was Kyle McCord. He is our performer of the semester. What can you say about Kyle McCord? He has really reinvigorated how we think about Syracuse sports right now, Andrew. The basketball teams are struggling. The positivity is coming from the football program, and this guy was exiled from Columbus. They did not want him there. Syracuse said, we'll take you. We'll take Kyle McCord. We'll send you a bottle of champagne. A nation-leading 43-26 in the passing yard category. The most single-season touchdowns for Syracuse, single-season record in completions as well. And he was absolutely incredible. He's already in the top 10 of career passing yards for Syracuse football, and he's played 1 season. The guys above him on the list, Andrew, they've played 4 seasons here.
Yeah, it's remarkable. He shattered so many records, and as he said, it all comes full circle. And it certainly did with that last regular season week of college football. He gets the win over Miami, and then his team, Ohio State, falls at Michigan. That had to be a pretty special feeling for Kyle McCord.
Yeah, a full circle moment. Andrew, I think we did good. I think we made some good picks. Obviously, there's a lot of mentions that we could have had on this list, but I think we did a pretty good job rounding out with our performers of the semester.
Shout out the producers. They helped us here. I like our list. I like our list. You put that up against any other list. I like our list. I'm taking our list. And I'm also taking what's coming up next here on the bench, because we've got your top plays and we've got your not top plays of the semester. Those should be fun. Stick around, plus a final farewell to OTB in 2024.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
All right, Andrew, for the past 15 minutes, we've praised every single team, every single player on the hill that we can. We're going to get a little negative here. We're still going to roll our top plays a little bit later on, but first we got to get to our not top plays of the semester. Let's have just a little bit of fun at some Syracuse athletes' expense. It's okay. We all make mistakes sometimes on the field. First off, we're going to the field hockey field, and there's going to be some things in these not top plays, Andrew, that are going to make us laugh. Willemine Boger misses the shot.
Yeah, and Maya McDermott here, you're not supposed to do that. That's the wrong team, Maya, and it's going to lead to an easy goal from Boston College. Oh my! Top ends. That's a top play just for Boston College.
I just can't stop laughing right now. I think it's better that I didn't see these beforehand. How do you not double cover the best receiver on the field if you're Syracuse? They lose to Stanford on that play right there.
Zaria Harris-Wadi, look out! That's your face! But it scores a point for Syracuse. How's that not in top plays? That's a top play, producers.
Okay,
Come on!
Okay, this is a little ironic that we're doing this. Syracuse football did pretty well in their field goal kicking at the end of the year, but man, once again, just missing field goals left and right. They couldn't figure it out all year, Andrew.
Our videographer as well, who got about 0 footballs on frame in that segment. How about the punch here from Michael Ockley? You're not supposed to do that. That draws straight red at Clemson, and the Orange get blown out.
Look, JJ Starling, we really want you back, but you can't blow dunks when you get back on the court after that broken hand. It just goes in and out. It happens to the best of us.
You remember the storyline early in the season? Syracuse football special teams stink. Jack Stonehouse, oh no, that's blocked. Oh no, UNLV's headed for the end zone. This was a punting nightmare out in Vegas. That's a touchdown the wrong way, as Syracuse's punting really struggles.
Andrew, this next slew of plays might remind me of when you play basketball.
Whoa.
Just missing three-pointers left and right.
Whoa.
What do you have to say to that?
Shots fired.
The Orange go 0 for 9 from 3, and the people that are, around the screen flying off the walls right now are detailing how Syracuse just kept clanking them. And man, if they just made 2 of these threes, Andrew, they would have won the game.
Yeah, my game style is if you don't shoot them, you can't miss them, so I just don't shoot them instead of missing all of them.
That's fair.
Not top play number 1. How about at Pittsburgh, a nightmare day for Kyle McCord. He might have been in the Heisman running if this didn't happen. McCord might have been the ACC Player of the Year if this didn't happen. Instead, he threw 5 picks at Pitt. This game was over before it even started, basically. A couple of them went the distance for 6 the other way. How about the music, too? That just completely made that segment.
Well, it's the ESPN not top plays music, so that's perfect.
They nailed it with that. Let's get you to the top plays of the semester. This is what you really came here for on the bench. We got to the not top plays. That's good for a funny laugh, but we also want to get you what we thought were the 10 best plays from Syracuse performers here on the Hill this semester. Let's roll those top plays of the semester for the Orange, and we'll start with number 10. Donnie Freeman going up against Clarion. Syracuse gets it to the freshman. Look out below! Donnie Freeman exploding on the scene as a 5-star here in Syracuse, and he might be a 5-star because he can do that.
Yeah, we need to see more of that from Freeman going forward. He's got to get this Orange team through this stretch. Someone who could also step up big for Syracuse through a tough stretch could be Sanaya Wilson. Look at her block that three-pointer right there. Says, in that FDU game, one of the few bright spots on the season for Syracuse was their play in that FDU game. They go on to win it.
That's big time. That's a full tomahawk straight out of bounds from Sanaya Wilson. Number 8, we mentioned the 9 game-winning goals for Bo Von Kempen. Here's one of them, a rocket to beat a ranked Cal team in the rain at home. Bo Von Kempen, get another look at this. She just has one of the best shots in the game. Pinpoint precision accuracy to get that game winner.
That's what Bo Von Kempen has been doing all season. Something that Kyle McCord hasn't been doing all season is running the football no less running it for a touchdown. And right here he goes airborne. This is one of the most impressive plays from a running back, wide receiver that we've seen getting into the end zone. It comes from their quarterback. He can do it all. Very rarely did he use his legs this season. This time he does. He puts Syracuse on its back. They do fall in this game, but he started to come alive in this second half after that pick six.
Any reason for Fran Brown to call him Little League Kyle? Well, that would be a good thing in Fran Brown's eyes. We already saw Zaria Harris-Waddy get it done with her face. Now we're going to get a look at Ava Palm. That's the right hand of the law right there. She had so many dominant kills, including this one. Orange save it defensively, and then right over top of the block. You saw a whole lot of that if you watched Ava Palm this season.
We're going to go to the pitch for the first time in this list. Christian 48, the ball bounces outside the box. How about that rocket? Top bins. Nothing that the Charlotte goalkeeper can do about that one. One more look at it here again. This was a tough game for Syracuse, an unranked Charlotte team, but still a top flight team in the country. They get a big result because of that rocket from Christian 48.
What's better, that one or the BC one we saw in not top place?
Oh, I got to go with Christian 48.
All right, fair enough. Arande Gadsden. He can make circus catches, and he did so at Boston College. One hand grab. Give you another look at this. It looked ordinary. It was far from ordinary. That's an around the world catch with that right hand, just palmed it into the body. That is some play from OG.
Showing off. Just doesn't matter where you catch it. It could be at all points of your body. Eddie Lampkin catches this one up high and tomahawks it down. But how about this pass from Jair Davis? Takes one look over there in the low post, throws it one-handed, and Eddie Lampkin, that's been his special all season long. Those two did not take a lot of time to get up to speed when it came to playing with the Orange.
Another performer of the semester getting a play of the semester. Top play number 2, long distance. Shea Vanderbosch says no, no, no to Notre Dame. Gets that right palm up, gets it off the crossbar, and keeps it out. Somehow, one of the best saves of Shea Vanderbosch's career.
That's why she ended up on our performers of the semester. This is the play that Syracuse fans are still talking about. Devin Grant forces the fumble, takes it all the way to the house after recovering it. The JMA Wireless Dome, Andrew, it might be still shaking from this play. Syracuse goes up a touchdown after this score. One of the biggest reasons why they won it. Devin Grant, the Buffalo transfer. We knew he was a great defensive player there as well. But man, I mean, we didn't see something like that coming, did we?
Yeah, that was maybe the play of Syracuse football's last decade. I mean, that was the biggest win in some time, and that was the biggest reason why for Syracuse football. What a semester it's been here at On the Bench, Ryan.
Yeah, what a semester it's been. It would not be possible, though, with the 4 people who poured their heart and soul to making this show possible. Max Gifford, John Baccio, Matthew Perry, and Dan Shalom. They were absolutely incredible. I have to thank them for giving me a shot on this show, a show that I used to run over in that control room behind us, Andrew. These guys, they pour their heart and soul. They were working up to the very last second tonight to get us on the air.
A special thank you to Max Gifford. He took over in the big shoes of Ryan Bridges, who was the former executive producer. Ryan, you know what it takes to make this show run, and Max did a phenomenal job.
Doing an hour week in, week out is really tough. We got a Brewster Whitecaps mention right here. Matthew Perry, his team coming up. They're going to do an absolutely incredible job in 2025. But for right now, we say so long, and here are your images of the year.
Shovels to Muley, and now Roa fakes and scores. He dunks it over the top of Entenmann. What a shot.
Spolina to Leo, behind the back shot, and it goes in. Michael Leo, how do you do?
Tyrell dumps it down low, and a quick shot is in. Megan Road.
Munchnick inside to Schweitzer, behind the back shot. Oh, what a goal!
A season. Man, Tawarat's on watch list. They got to be looking at his name. Mason Cole all the way to Spallina.
Starling on Bacon, 5 seconds to shoot. Loses the handle, high on the left wing. Chucks up a deep three, and he banks it in!
6, 5, 4, Mintz, 2, Copeland, left wing 3! It's good! Quadir Copeland wins the game for Syracuse!
Smith towards the middle, a chance. Here's the shot from 48, unbelievable!
Snap back, the court takes a 3-step drop, lofts it towards the power pylon. Trevor Pena catches it for a touchdown. His second receiving touchdown on the afternoon.
Fakes the handoff. Wrapped up, but takes off. Breaking a tackle at the 10. Lowers the shoulder. Dives. Touchdown, Syracuse.
McCord in the gun. Takes the snap. Hands off Allen. And one-on-one with the UNLV defender. Finds the end zone. Absolute cinema in